Carine, welcome to In Fashion. I want to start by going back to before Carine Roitfeld was the Carine that we know now. Who did little Carine want to be?
I knew maybe when I was 12 or 14 I would love to work in fashion because my mother received each Tuesday French Elle, and I love to look at it. But in that time, in the 70s, to say to your parents that you want to work in fashion when you are a good student, because I was a very good student, I cannot tell them because they think I will be just a superficial person with no point on their lives, that no interesting, just in clothes. It was not a good thing.
And what sort of clothes were you wearing growing up? Because I've read that your school was quite strict.
In Port d'Otaille, it's a 16, it's not very far from the freeway to Normandy because my mother has a house there. And I was going to public school. And at that time, even in public school, you have, when you're young, like I say 6, 7, do not mix with the boys. And I was a very, very good student until May 68. So May 68, I don't know what I was, 14, 16, I don't remember, it was French Paris Revolution, no? So all the school was closed. And they asked me to be one of the outside to keep the lycée closed, I didn't know I was such a political person. And because I have to have this new job, let's say, I have to have the costume to go with. So for our time, there was no Zara, H&M, there was nothing like that existing. So when you have to have a proper look, you have to find it yourself. So it was my first personal look for fashion for myself. It was the first time. So I went to flea market. Take the bus to go to the flea market. And I bought, of course, khaki pieces, military jacket, military bag, peace and love everywhere. So it was my first fashion look. It was to be outside my school in May 68. The first time I decided to dress personally, let's say. And my mother was very nice. She makes me cushions in a silk Indian scarf, cushioned in my room. And I make burning a lot of incense, And I was listening, David Bowie, he was my bigger hero. But the music of Bowie, the silk cushion, the incense, the curtain clothes, I think my mother saw I was working drugs, She was very obsessed, but it was the time.
You mentioned French Elle there, that your mother had French Elle and you began to read it. And of course, you began to work at French Elle, but how did you get a job there? How did that come about?
I was going to the dentist, and there was a beautiful man standing in front of the street, so beautiful that usually you don't talk to people you don't know, but he was so cool, so chic. His name was Tony Kent. He was an English photographer that lived in Paris, not far from my place. And he saw me and said, I think you look very good. I'd like to introduce my agency to be a model. I put a foot in this industry because of modeling. After I decided that I'm not going to be the best one, and I decided to write. And I was writing some stories for fashion magazine. So little stories, different one. Even how to get tattooed, that sort of stories that I liked at that time. And a lot of magazine for young called 20 ans, don't remember the name, that sort of magazine. They liked my text. And petit à petit, they asked me to make the picture to go with my text. So it was the way I started to do picture. And after I go to French Elle, and I keep doing that work, writing and doing the little picture, to illustrate my story. And it's the way I come to French Elle and I become finally an editor. I did a work for Martin Margiela because he was one of the first ones to do street casting, if I can say that. So I was an editorial glamour at the time, and he asked me if I liked to walk the show. Of course, suddenly you see. But the show was in a metro. So it was up and down and up with the stairs, and everything was just lighted with candles. But I found some picture of me walking the show with the look of Martin. It was fantastic to be I'm a part of history in a way, just because I walked that show, no? First I have to have my, baccalaureate in France, that you say. And because my parents was a bit against it, I said, okay, I'm going to do, and I tell you, I was a very good student. Always the first in my class. Even after my revolution, I still back to the first in my class. And my father was Russian, so he was speaking Russian, and I love everything about Russia. So I decided maybe I'm going to study everything about Russia. So I take 1 year in sort of university just about Russian world, let's say, and I loved it. You can talk me anything about Russia, but all the emperors, the tsars, the tsarina, Catherine the Great, I know everything. I'm obsessed with everything from Russia. So of course now I read, I write, and the best I can sing. I'm very good. I have a bad voice, but after some vodka and some violonist, Tsigan, it's always Tsigan, suddenly my voice becomes better. And I can sing a bit. I have some hit in Russia. So I went to Moscow the first time to launch the first Russian Vogue, because at that time I was in French Vogue. And Jonathan Newhouse, he loves me at that time, and he said, I'd like to send you to launch the first one in Moscow. So we went, can you imagine, with Mario Testino, Kate Moss, and Amber, for the first time for me to go in Russia. And we did all the pictures, so we go to all museums, to have beautiful people, the military, everything we can use. And because Mario was a bit lazy, we have a beautiful hotel with a view on the Kremlin, So he sees the two girls on the balcony, he was sit behind, he takes a picture of them in front of the Red Square, so it was a cover. It was a huge success. And because it was a big success, John, I think I was a good luck person. What I'm a good luck person? He asked me to launch the first Chinese Vogue. So, oh my God, what I'm going to do? Okay, I say yes. And it was amazing to be in Shanghai at that time. And we went with Patrick de Marchelier. And it was with Peter Phillips, I remember, and Christian. It was even more surprising than Moscow. Moscow, I can imagine, but China, when you've never been, is a good experience. Jonathan let me do everything I like. So I was in a cage, okay, but in a golden cage with a lot of freedom. So it was difficult, but I tell you, the most complicated was the people around me, so I didn't know how to act. Because as Russian, sometimes you have very good mood and sometimes you have bad mood. This is not right to be directing people like that, so I have to control myself. And the worst in my life was to say some people to leave the magazine because I don't think there was the right people with my vision. And I don't know if I can say that, but it's the first time I have to take a pill to cool me down, like half a Xanax or half a Lexomil, I don't know, because I was so stressed. To say to someone, even I don't know them, that they're going to lose a job, it's very cruel for them, but it's very cruel for me too, to tell such a thing,
Let's go back a bit to those years leading up to Vogue Paris. So around 1990, you meet Mario Testino, who you mentioned, and that's an incredibly important creative relationship for you.
So it was a very good thing for me to meet Mario, because fun of us, it was fun, a lot of fun. And he makes my girl beautiful in the magazine, so as proud parents, we are very proud. And in a place, because Mario is very tall, so it was the reason I decided to wear high heels, because when you're working with someone, you have to look people in the eyes, not like that. You look immediately so strong, So because of Mario, I create my new uniform that I will keep at Vogue too. It was high heels, tight skirt, tight sweater, jacket, very simple, always, but very high heels. At that time I was wearing 11 centimeters high heel. Now I'm going down to 9. I'm very getting older. But it was a reason that created me like a character that's a bit maybe tougher than who I am. Today I'm very relaxed, even not wearing black, but it's very new for me. You can make a wish, it's very rare. And with Mario, he gave me this, to transform me as a more tough person, I would say. It was Star Wars between Mario and Tom Ford. Me, I'm the middle, I'm a very diplomatic person. But finally, I'm always a winner. It's the way you talk to people that you are the winner. And even when I asked them to do the G-point, of course, Mario said, no, I don't want, I did 5 pictures already, it's my contract. And Tom said, no, I think we have enough. I said, no, we don't get the picture. We have to do something for just something strong. And finally, we did the G-point, and it would be impossible today, no? And it was, imagine at that time, shocking, but shocking is good in a way because everyone's talking about it. And it's a picture, the more the artist used it, they used to do other things, but with that picture. So I'm very proud when I see artists using one of my pictures, Mario's picture, to make some art with it. I'm a very spontaneous person, for the good or the bad. I hope it's for the good, but it's the way my ideas come very on the set at the last minute. But honestly, it was a fun moment.
I mean,
Vogue France was really the best, not the best period for me, but the best period as work. I think it was easy with the money, but now it's very difficult. It was easy with the ideas, because I think I put the first transgender with a beer on the cover with a mini skirt, and Corinne Murphy shot by Bruce Weber. And I think it was the first time no one even argued or say something, you know. So I'm happy to be part of the, I would say, regenerate the style of model.
Your role as a stylist and then consultant, which is a word that's thrown around so much now, but didn't really exist then, what you were doing.
No, it was, I didn't know what the job of consulting was, you know. And what is fun, at the same time, 2 different designers asked me to consult with them, and totally different. One was Tom Ford from Gucci, that I knew before because I do some campaign with him, and I think it's very sexy, very fun. And the other one was Jill Sander, but I think was a high stylist for me a lot. So I went to Hamburg to meet Jill, and I tried to work with her. And after I met Tom, and I said, no, it's so much fun to work with Tom. I will forget Jill, and we can have 2 persons you work with, no? So I choose Tom, and I think I choose for me for the best and the more fun, because I want to have fun. I'm working each day. So if you don't have fun when you're working, what is the purpose of working each day, even the weekend? And it was just the years that everything was possible. You know, the night before the show, you say, oh, I would love a very embroidered trousers in leather or in silk, I don't know. And finally, someone takes the last plane to India, goes there, and the next morning we get someone makes the trousers in 3 hours in India and come back, you know. Everything was possible. And Tom is quite magnetic, so people trust him, and it was a great relation with this person who is doing the money job, let's say, you know, Domenico De Sole. So there was such a great relation between the two. So Domenico, even, I don't know, Tom Ford was selling a washing machine or fridge. It would be the same when he showed him the collection before the show. He trusted him 100%, even asked a question. We worked 27 years together. That is a long time in fashion, no? So you can be faithful in fashion. And we stopped just because he stopped to be a designer, unfortunately for me, because I love to work with him. With Mario and Tom, I become more bilingual. My English was much better. And I become international, because everyone, all the country, looking for, I'm not just a little French Parisian, you know, stylist. I was an international stylist. And even Anna Wintour asked me to work for Vogue American as a contract with her, because Mario wanted to work with me because we had such a good deal together. So I went maybe 3-4 times in New York to make the run-through, the famous run-through you see in all the fashion shoots, the famous run-through with Anna Wintour. But can you imagine, in these years, I was traveling in Concorde to do the run-through with Anna. So you take the plane at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, you arrive in New York even before, you know, so you left. And immediately you go to the Vogue office and you make your run-through. And after you have a quick lunch with Anna, because everything is too very quick. She's tough, she's not easy, but she's very honest in a way. If you do a story with her and she don't like it, immediately she takes the phone herself and says, Carine, I'm sorry, I don't like the story. Tell Mario you can use for another Vogue, Italian Vogue, wherever you want. I will not use the story. It's very rare people are so quick and say yes or no, but give you freedom to use for something else. So,
tell me about when you launched the Old Fashion Book, when you leave Vogue Paris in sort of 2011, and then you launch your own publication independently with Stephen.
Jonathan, because he was so obsessed, you know, when people are obsessed, they want to look after everything. So he decided he's going to look after my contract to go away from Vogue. And he forgot to say no competition. He forgot to say to the lawyer that I'm not allowed to work in make a magazine for 1 or 2 years, something like that. You know, that usually people do when they're leaving it, but he forgot because he was so unhappy with me, that he was so in a rage that he forgot the more important thing. So finally I was free to make a magazine, and immediately we start working with Stephen on the magazine, but it's difficult, you know, when you lost your crown, because when you Vogue Paris, because I keep calling Vogue Paris, immediately you have a crown on your head, you know. Immediately you're beautiful, your kids are beautiful, your hair is beautiful, everything is beautiful, everyone loves you, everyone is like a wet carpet in front of you, because it's one of the best crown to have in fashion, no? And when you leave, you deposit your crown, suddenly you become that a normal person, and you don't have more cars, you don't have so many assistants. It's a different life, but I think it was very good for me to change life. After 10 years, I have to do something new. And suddenly, I was free to work with Karl Lagerfeld. I was free to work for Dior. I was free to work for a lot of people. So it was quite fun. And when you have Karl Lagerfeld as a wall behind you, you always need a protector in fashion. Mostly when you, like I was an individual, not part of a group, it was really a huge protector for me. And I think 1 week after I finished Vogue, I was already starting the campaign with him, a fashion campaign. Remember, it was called Coco Maton. It was everything in his studio in a photomaton machine. And Karl loves it because I was transforming his look in something different. Usually the designers, they don't like that. But he was special. He loved to see how you can interpret his clothes, you know. He was boring already of what he did, so he was always boring. He's like a child. We need to give you new food, new energy, and it was really, I worked with him 10 years until he passed away, so it's a long time. He was a Virgo too, so I'm very good with Virgos. We are very fast. No, it's true, we're fastful people. I have a little problem. Karl, of course, worked with me, but Jonathan decided that all the photographers, mostly working with me with French Vogue, will not able to work with me. When you work with the same photograph, it makes you a family. You know the photograph, they have the team, hair, makeup team. You know, it's about team, family. And suddenly you have to find new team, you know. And the first one to say to Jonathan, no, I want to keep working with Carine was Bruce Weber. So all my first issue was mostly Bruce Weber. It was rebirth. It was, I don't remember, a lot of babies, baby animals, human babies. It was a little girl that peeing, you know, it was amazing shoot. And very new for me because I was like, people think me like the Parisian, all in black with, you know, suspenders and high heels. Suddenly what you get a curvy young girl, blonde, blue eyes, holding babies. It was so new for a lot of people. And even Karl told me, oh, Madame Roitfeld, I really don't like your story. It's not my word. But in a way, congratulations, because you surprised me. And I learned from him, everything you're doing, you have to surprise people or to be the first at doing it.
Do you trust the industry? Is the fashion industry somewhere where you feel like you can trust people, or is it some?
Of course not.
Yeah.
I'm very, because I will say naive is not a very good word, but I think I'm a nice person, and I don't want to kill others for the success. It's not my way of thinking, never been. And one day I was talking with Karl and said, yes, Carine, because you're very naive. I said, Karl, you think I'm stupid? He said, no. Naive is not to be stupid. Naive is to see the things the way you want them to see, and it makes you very more creative because you stay in your bulb and you don't see the bad thing around you. But you have to be more careful because, and when I leave Vogue, a lot of people even don't send me invitation. And they think I'm going to go away for a spa for 10 years, I don't know, but no. The day after I start working already because I didn't have, you know, when you have a kid, sometimes you have the baby blue, you know, you feel bad and sad. And I never got the Vogue blue, never. I was very happy, but a new life, a new career starting, freedom. Even I was in a golden cage, it was a cage, finally. My new job was much more difficult. I couldn't get all the assistants and the money and blah that I had before, but it was free. So freedom has no price, you know. So I want the magazine still to be creative for photographers and stylists coming to work with them. I give them a lot of freedom.
Do you push against that full look policy with credits?
There is this new code of ethic code that you have to photograph a total look, head to toe, for some brands, you know. But I'm not head to toe look. I will never do that. I think it's ridiculous because a magazine, you're a line between the catwalk and the readers what they're going to buy maybe as clothes. So they know already what they're seeing at the show. They have Instagram, they can see everything. So if you don't get them a new idea, what is the purpose to have a magazine? No, it's not just to see again what you see in advertising, when you see on the catwalk.
It strikes me you have a very protective nature towards models.
I think because I'm a mom and I will never push something and oh my God, it's called put a coat over you, don't stay like that. You know, I'm very, and I think a lot of models still like me and a lot call me a fashion godmother, a lot of them, because I was there at the beginning and I'm very faithful with my model, I will say my girls. And honestly, all of them, and I think a lot of love me and respect me, and I know they protect them in a way because it's a dangerous world for young girls, no? A lot of people think I was an nymphoman, and I'm not at all. You know, I'm a Virgo, so you have two sides in Virgo. You have the nice one and the crazy one. The nice one is my life, actually, taking the tisane before going to sleep, taking care of my kids, go to school, pay my amends, do everything well. But my other side is a crazy one, you know. It's like what I have in my mind, so I put everything in my pictures, you know, I have a double life. They call me the queen of Porno Chic, no? So chic is very important because there is always a very, very, very fine line between chic and not chic. And I think we keep the chic way. A lot of people try to copy, but they don't get the line. So it was too much sexy, not in a nice way. We keep chic. But I don't like really much the name queen of Porno Chic because I would prefer queen of erotico chic, but it's less quick in the talk because my father is a film producer, the Russian father, and he was one of the first one in France to produce erotic film. But it was not porno film, there was a story behind it. Anyway, it's better to have in crown in something that no crown at all. Publicity is always good, say I think Andy Warhol even is a bad one. So I accept it, and I'm happy to be a queen, and I was happy to be a muse of Tom Ford. What a better title in your passport, that Muse of Tom Ford, no? It's great. Imagine it will be Muse of Tom Ford, Queen of Porno Chic. It's very nice on my passport, I hope it will be on when I'm going to die, everything will be said this way, because I think it's quite, it's a long time I'm working, and I'm still enjoy it. You know, now I'm free, I'm doing so many other projects that I cannot be able to be in a strict magazine, I mean just a strict job. I'm doing the perfume, I'm working a lot of shows. I love to doing shows today. And we're looking for new people. Yesterday my son was in India, in Rajasthan, because they want to do stories there, maybe a fashion show in Rajasthan, you know. This is very exciting because I never did before a show in Rajasthan, you know. I'm a grandma too, so I have to take care of my grandchildren, so I'm not a babysitter, never. But sometimes I see them. After today I'm going to have dinner with them, so it's going to be fun for me. So my new title is, you can put in my list after to be Tom Ford Muse or to be Queen of Porno Chic is Grandma Carine. This is my new title, and maybe it's my favorite one. Because as my granddaughter say, it's a magic word. So Grandma Carine is a magic word. I said, why you say it's magic? Because Grandma, everything I ask to you, you say yes. Everything I want you to buy, you buy. So you're magic. I say, yes, I like the idea to be Magic Grandma Carine. I think it's a good thing to put on my legacy too.